here from the regular meeting of August 15th. Any comments, gentlemen?
Oh, it's always
Where are you?
Yeah, I thought they were fine too. I'll make a motion to
Entertain a
approve.
motion.
I'll make that second motion.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, we've got a couple of guests. Samantha,
Hi.
how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. She is from coming here about a Golds Award. You have the floor, Samantha.
Awesome. So I plan on, if it gets approved by you guys and approved by the Girl Scout Council, I plan on putting in a picnic area over at the Auburn Community Park. So putting up 2 picnic tables and a bike rack was my plan.
Very good. Great.
And my budget is $400. It costs about $114 for each picnic table, and then the bike rack costs around $125. So altogether it's like $355, but I wanted to put around $400 so I could supply water and food to my volunteers that help. So,
Okay.
and I plan on getting donations from Home Depot and Lowe's, going to their businesses and asking them for gift cards and seeing if they could supply. I asked the Girl Scout Council if it was all right if I could set up a GoFundMe, which is a website that helps people around the community donate to help. So,
Great.
yeah.
Where do you want to do this?
I plan on doing it over between now and January, getting the picnic tables done, and then by May I'll be able to set them out and everything.
Okay, so you need, is that when you have to have your project
Yeah.
come by? Okay.
So,
Do you have an area checked out?
yeah, like right, you know where the big part of the building is, right there, to the right side of it.
So between there and the woods.
Yeah, over there. And then the bike rack by the pavement, just screwing it on.
Bike rack's a really good idea.
Yeah. And it can hold up to 11 bikes, which is pretty nice, because I see people bike down Munn all the time, which
Yeah.
will be really useful.
Oh, I think that'll be a great addition. A real nice addition.
And wood or plastic tables?
Wood. I'm building them myself with volunteers.
Wow. All right.
So yeah.
I thought you could do plastic ones and build the mold and the whole thing. That would have been impressive, especially for the water box.
It's just a gold award, right?
Oh,
Okay, is there anything you need us to sign
Yeah,
for
I just
you
need
or
you
take
guys to
care of?
sign this one will be first. Just approve my budget and everything. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Now we have Von. How do you spell your last? Hauk. Von, you have the floor.
Thank you.
Just kind of have an input.
These are
Von is a Boy Scout.
the plans to my project.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So there are currently 3 32-gallon trash cans at Auburn Park, and I plan to purchase a 3rd, and I will be building holders for them in the current locations that they are. The trash cans are 25 inches wide, so next page. The inside frame that I'll be building will be 31 inches by 31 inches, or will be 31 inches square, and the inside square will be 28 inches, so you can take the trash out, move the trash can if you have to, and there will be 8 inside frames because I'm doing 4 receptacles for each trash can. And the lumber that I'll be using for the inside frames is 2x6 pressure treated lumber. And the next page will be, this is the side view. I will be using 3-inch stainless steel screws, which I will be either purchasing or asking for donations from local construction companies or Lowe's or Home Depot. And they will be going through the side of one piece of the wood into the 28-inch wood on the other side. And then on the side view of the outside, it will be 32 inches tall and 31 inches wide, and there will be about an inch gap between the top of the structure and the top of the inside frame, so it's easier to lift the trash can out and change the garbage bags. I'll be using 2 1/4 inch screws, and it will be 320 total, and I'll be using 1x6 composite lumber, and I plan to do this between now and hopefully by the end of October. I have my funds raised from my previous project. I'm estimating it'll be between $1,000 and $1,500. And do we have problems with raccoons getting into the trash at the park currently?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay, so would you want me to add a top to the receptacle bins, or would you just want me to leave the lids on as they are?
That's a good question. Have you seen this construction already made, and how stable is it?
This will be very stable.
Does it need to be anchored in any way?
This will not be anchored. The inside frame on the bottom will be flush, and a raccoon won't be able to push it.
Okay.
So, and I don't know if a
Small
raccoon.
child. Yeah, it's a great project. We could use something. We've been talking about doing something like this. Yeah, it's a great project. As far as the lids go, I think you need some kind of a lid, because they climb in there.
Okay, so you want something on top of the bins. Okay, that'll work.
Yeah, even if it's like something hinged that can
Yeah,
be gathering day.
so you could have something
Park
with a
district,
hole
I'm
in
sure
it,
would
so
be easy.
you would,
Yep.
Okay.
Right. I actually already have something in mind. So,
Okay.
You just got a little voluntary,
I'm sure
Health
Jaga
food.
Park District would give you, because they build their own.
oh, okay,
so the resource for information.
awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Need something signed to
Yes, I do.
get started?
I don't know which one of you guys wants to sign it, but great.
Okay, very well. Thank you very much. Great, thank you, Ron.
Okay, we go to Mr. Kitco, our zoning inspector.
You don't have copies of activities for August. We did process 20 applications. Had, up there you'll see 8 accessory buildings over 200 square feet. We did have also 4 fences that been 2 new houses there. Was making that total for the year 14, which is a little above what we were last year at this time. We did have 2 hearings before the Board of Appeals, and variances still granted. And one was and one wasn't. One had involved a swimming pool situation, and he has to have a fence. So that's about it.
Any questions for Mr. Kitco? Mr. Troyan?
You can see my time so we can stay on schedule for the settlement agreement.
TJ?
Yeah, I got a couple things here. Nicole Sweet, we had at the last meeting, she was I believe government liaison from NOPEC. And after the discussion and some of the services that she mentioned that NOPEC offers, right away we had her look at our street light. We're getting NOPEC rate on the buildings.
Right.
But not the street lights, which are built separately, and for some reason that got mixed up in the laundry. So we had her look at that, and well, it doesn't very often. Let's see, that we had a meeting on Monday, and by Thursday she had the whole analysis back to us. And with the lights we have, we're going to, if we switch over to the NOPEC rate, about 18% savings and about $40 a month. And that's, no change in service. It's there are no fees to enroll, or cancellation fees if we ever want to go back to the utility rate. So based on that information, I'm just going to make a motion that we go ahead and switch that billing over to NOPEC.
Second, that sounds like a no-brainer.
Mike?
Yes.
BJ?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Let's see, the land use plan, as you recall, we had that, I think it was right at the end of last year. We got that from Planning Commission at the request of the Zoning Commission, who initiated the review of it and the update. I met with them here, wintertime, and that was with Albert Tien and Dee Ballou. And subsequently had a meeting with David Dietrich, excuse me, David Dietrich, and had a few things they wanted to change. There were some charts or graphs that they thought were still relevant now that were included in the previous land use plan, but not in the new one. So they wanted maybe to see if that could be added back into it, along with mostly the rest of the stuff was enlarging some of the maps. But, okay, so that happened all late winter, early spring. And I can tell you that the response from the Planning Commission was, and you guys are aware, and a lot of you people up here too, our county cut quite a bit of staffing up there at the Planning Commission. And it was made clear this was going to take a little time to make these changes. Well, they're back. The second draft is back. So we have that now, or Commission has that now, and they'll hopefully approve of the updates that were asked for, and it'll be back on the docket or the agenda here in the next month or two.
Good.
The model of the Vietnam Wall, I think so it's a wall that heals, is that what you call that?
Precisely.
Yeah, that was in Trumbull County last week somewhere. I know. I drove past where it was advertised. It was over there. It's moved to Trumbull County, and I think the opening is tomorrow at noon. Is that right?
Correct. Tomorrow at noon until Sunday. It's up in 24 hours.
If you've ever had a chance to go see it, the memorial in Washington, it's just astounding the effect it has on you. And even if you haven't seen it, I think this wall will have a similar effect. So that's all I have.
Great.
You have your regular reports in front of you, your revenue status report, appropriations status report, and fund status report, along with your payment report, and have warrants 3196 through 3263 totaling $405,399.89 in front of you. A good chunk of that was for Roniak paving for the asphalt reconstruction projects. Couple of resolutions. We need to do some supplemental revenue and supplemental appropriations within the road and bridge budget. And we'll go ahead and I'll read these resolutions into the record. Be it resolved by this is Resolution 2016-26 for supplemental revenue and supplemental appropriations. Be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Auburn Township, Geauga County, Ohio, that it being necessary to pay for the repair and maintenance of township highways, the Board hereby supplements its 2016 revenue budget with the following decreases and increases: $316,337.98 increase in revenue to road and bridge account 2031-101 for property taxes. So we took in more property taxes than we had budgeted for. $164,177 decrease in revenue to road and bridge account 2031-535 for intergovernmental income. So we didn't realize as much as we had budgeted for. Intergovernmental income is things like House Bill 64 funds. It comes from the state. $9,500 increase in revenue to road and bridge account 2031-931, and that's for transfers that were made into the road and bridge fund. Further, the board makes the following supplemental appropriations to its road and bridge fund. $65,000 to road and bridge fund account 2031-3 $330,360 for contracted services, and $25,000 to Road and Bridge Fund account 2031-760-720 buildings.
You got a copy of that? You got a copy of that, Fred?
Yeah. Want to take a look at it?
Yeah. I want to make sure you get a copy of
Okay. And the supplemental appropriations for the contracted services are mainly to pay for the road projects that we did this year. That's the $65,000 in supplemental appropriations. $25,000 to the buildings was for some miscellaneous items for the new service garage that's going in. So I'll put that out for a motion.
So moved, because I'll not repeat.
Second.
Mike?
Yes.
Eugene?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Motion's passed. Resolution adopted. And then I have 2016-27, and this is our resolution accepting the amounts and rates determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor. And I can read this into the record for you. Resolved by the Board of Trustees of Auburn Township, Geauga County, Ohio, in accordance with the provisions of law as previously adopted, a tax budget for the next succeeding fiscal year commencing on January 1st, 2017. And whereas the Budget Commission of Geauga County, Ohio has certified its action thereon to this board together with an estimate by the county auditor of the rate of each tax necessary to be levied by this board and what part thereof is without and what part within the 10 mil tax limitation, therefore be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Auburn Township, Geauga County, Ohio, that the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission in its certification be and the same are hereby accepted, and be it further resolved that there be and is hereby levied on the tax duplicate of said township the rate of each tax necessary to be levied within and without the 10 mil limitation as follows. We go to summary of amounts required from general property tax approved by the Budget Commission. General fund, $350,756,000. Road and Bridge, this is inside 10 mil. $400,864,000. Amounts approved by the Budget Commission outside the 10 mil limitation. Road and Bridge Levy Fund, $986,697. The total for inside millage is $751,620. Total for outside millage is $863,588. The following is for levies. It's a 1 mil levy for 2008 Road and Bridge Fund levy, generating $250,540. A 1 mil levy for a 2005 Road and Bridge Fund levy, generating $235,076. There's a 2 mil levy representing our 2014 Road and Bridge Fund levy, generating $501,081. And there's a 3.5 mil levy representing our 2010 Fire Levy Fund, generating 3.5 mil, generating $876,891. And that's it.
Okay.
Would you like me to repeat that?
No, it's a matter of fact.
So I'll put that to the board for a motion.
So moved.
Yeah, second that.
Mike?
Yes.
BJ?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
All right, that's all I have.
John Phillips, Fire Chief, did I omit you?
No, that's next week, or next
I
time.
didn't, I was under the impression you had something you wanted to talk about, maybe cooking clams or something.
All right, clam bakes Saturday. We already have 250 bakes sold. Pretty much sold out, actually. Starts at 6 and goes to 8:30.
Okay, thank you. Give a quick update on the garage. We're moving right along. We're looking for a mid-October completion date. We've got all the driveway stone was put in, and first layer of the asphalt's gone down. Electricians are in there working. It's coming together. Jim Dixon will give a little better update next time, but it looks like we're probably going to come in a little bit early there. It's looking real good. Road projects, pretty much winding up all the road projects. Ascot came out pretty good. Residents are pretty happy. We still have to just do that little bit of cleanup work over there in Whisperwood, getting that line that's coordinating with CEI, but we're going to go up there and do the digging, and that thing should be all wound up. We do have a couple of culvert projects we're working on, and Emmerich is on vacation this week and next week. And but there's still, guys are moving ahead with the projects. A couple of pretty good sized culverts. One's a 24-inch driveway culvert, and we're taking that one down there by Taylor. We're going to take it out and reinstall it. So things are moving ahead. Old business. Back in March, we received a phone call from the EPA saying that they had received a complaint about our salt dome, and they came out the following day and brought 4 people out, and they inspected the dome, and they tested the water wells, and they came out a second time. And in all, some of the wells were checked 3 times. And we do have the resulting report from that. And this also involved the fire department
Extensively.
extensively. And so I want to thank John. John spent a lot of time representing the township as well as just the fire department up there.
The 5-month investigation by the EPA over false allegations. What it boiled down to. Extensive manpower plus a large amount of taxpayer dollars.
And then the EPA created over 400 pages of investigative data. And this was in response to a letter that was written to them by Mr. Tom Jones. And in it, he makes some claims, of which I'm not sure where they come from, but since he's here, he could maybe explain to us what his motivation was in writing these things. And Mr. Jones?
Well, if you've got a copy of my letter there, then you understand.
Well, it says in your letter, yes, I do have a copy of your letter, and it says it is unknown whether the salt storage structure has a concrete or an impervious floor. That's been well established for many years at this table while you sat in this audience. It also states that the walls are not sealed up to rain. I personally, over several years, have announced that we've gone in and re-inspected the walls and filled all the cracks, if any existed, just to make sure we were in compliance.
Well, are you in compliance?
Yes, we are.
Well, that's good,
Well, why would you make these claims?
because they were unknown at the time. And there has been some complaints by a couple neighbors, at least one, that they were receiving a lot of white water running across their driveway and washing their driveway out, and this was all water coming off of the site over here.
Complaints made to who?
The complaint was made here when I was sitting in this very chair in this building at one of these meetings. That was Patty Carlton.
I've talked with Ms. Carlton extensively, and she tells me that you do not represent her, especially with your claim of dead animals. Where'd that come from? Did you just make that up, or what?
A couple of
You have
years
some
back.
proof?
A couple of years back, she
Mhm.
had one that died, and she was here. She was complaining about a brown sludge that was running across her field. That was maybe about 5 or 6 years ago.
Do you have some evidence of that we caused that and it killed her animals?
No, I do not.
So you made that up?
No, I did not make that up. That was discussed here at the meeting.
Yeah. No, it wasn't.
Well, have it your way. I have a recording of it.
Yeah, and I wish you would go back and play it for yourself, because there's nothing that we have created, and that's verified over a long period of time, and I think the chief will back me up on that, because he's been involved in those, that there's no allegations in here that are even remotely close to being true.
And the 450 pages, or however many you mentioned, is actually 47, if you want to be honest.
I happen to have them right here in the office, so it isn't 47.
Well, we were over at the EPA. It's 47.
Maybe you presented you with 47.
No, there's
I
47
have
pages. Now, they're mostly charts.
There's much more documentation than that, and I can assure you of that. And Patty Carlton has been a very good neighbor to us, and the only complaint that she had, if it was a complaint at all, was the amount of water that was coming down across her property, which we addressed in that meeting. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Everly.
Yes, we did.
And actually, I met with Patty and talked to her about the water conservation plan that was submitted to the EPA, and she was fine with that. One thing that draws exception here is the 100-year floods we've been having recently, which you can't control how much water comes out of those.
All right. Let's go on to new business. Time Warner franchise fees.
I'll make a motion to take the $4,081.85 received for the period ending 7/30 and put that in the land acquisition and improvement.
Second.
Mike,
Yes.
BJ,
Yes.
John.
Yes. Okay, we do have a letter from Joe Cattell, the Delta County engineer, recommending that we make a payment to Roniak Paving for $360,621.10. That's for the Ascot project.
So moved.
Yep, on that recommendation, I'll second that.
Mike,
Yes.
BJ,
Yes.
John.
Yes. Okay, Fred, I'm going to let you take this next thing.
I was contacted by the Northeast Ohio Township Association. They had a meeting scheduled this month in another township. They didn't say who. But for whatever reason, that venue's not available. So they've asked us kind of at the last minute if we would host their meeting. I told them I would bring it to the board. And it's a small outcome expected, like 20 people is what I was told. We would provide the catering. We would get a speaker for the meeting as our part of our job as being a host. So that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, they've met here. They used to meet, I think, Woodstown, around Shalersville, maybe. And they kind of move it around to different area. I mean, the NEOT goes from Lorraine to Jefferson, I think, or something like that. So there has been meetings in the area. I don't know if there's been one in Jogga County. Jim Dvorak was a past vice president or something there. So he would have some idea how those operate.
Yeah, what I was told by both him and the gentleman that I talked to from NEOTA was that, again, they would send out the invitations, get their people there, but we would basically be hosting this and paying for a light dinner and giving out the speaker.
Got an estimate what that may cost?
Probably less than around now, so.
Well, we are members of the Northeast Ohio Township Association, and they do different townships host over the years, mostly over on the west side of the Northeast.
Right.
So, I have no problem doing that since we're part of it. When was the last time we had to do anything with them? I can't.
Well,
I don't remember.
We've never hosted one. I mean,
I don't remember hosting one at a time.
No,
I
we never have that I can recall. Sure, you get some representation from this part of the state, and I guess it'd be out according to what Fred's saying, $400. Plus, I'm sure they're not paying any rent. Correct? Nobody's offered that.
Right.
Or cleaning.
Right.
Well, what I'm thinking is, from what I've heard, these aren't really big events, like 20 people.
That's what he was saying.
Yeah.
10 to 20.
We could just do it at the town hall.
Very small.
Over the town hall.
And we could even do that.
Yeah, well, there's no sense in opening up Auburn Hall for that.
Right.
It's a small venue.
Maybe we could just cap a budget and say within this budget.
Have Italian night, get a
Do family style?
family style Italian night.
Family style
Have a head
Italian.
count.
Here's a cheese pizza next up.
Would they
we could even do that.
would they get back to us like
What's the date
with
of
the
this?
number? 29th of September, which is right around the corner.
Yeah, it is right.
Could they get back to us 2-3 days ahead of time with the
Well, yeah, they'd
number?
have to. I mean, they'd have to close off their RSVPs
Okay.
at the beginning of that week or the end of the previous week.
Well, we got a real nice caterer right next door here, so that's where Horny lives. I don't think he'd something that's a little better bad if she can be comfortable.
She was around. It was around 25.
That's a spread.
In John County.
That's a pretty good meal.
We
Yeah, that's a-
Now we augment that.
Yeah, that's a lot more than I'd say would be required for
Yeah,
this particular thing.
I'll give you, I'm willing to say we'll budget the $400 and for the whole shebang and do it next door and,
It's all based on how many people have come is what their meal.
and
Yeah.
the more people they
Yeah.
bring, the less food they're gonna get to eat. That was my motion.
Yeah, let's have it. I'll second it.
Used to be in the catering business.
Mike,
Yes.
BJ,
Yes.
John.
Yes. Okay, we have a large group of people here, and I'm not sure you all came just to say hello.
Hello.
Hello. If you did, that's fine too. we do have a issue here we have to tend to. It's a public hearing for to take comments. I'm going to refer to my cheat sheet here. So we want to note the time that we're going to start the public hearing. Here we go. This is basically to settle a zoning complaint between the township and Joseph Desario. And basically he wants to use the property as a landscaping business, and it did require a couple of conditions and so forth that we actually discussed back several months ago, gentlemen. Down here on Washington Street. One of you want to comment, or is anybody here to comment about that?
Well, I was thinking I'm going to take a few minutes to read the entire agreement.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Joseph Desario, hereinafter appellant, his permit and signs as described in paragraph 7, and the Auburn Township Board of Trustees, hereinafter trustees, their heirs, successors in the sign, colloquially referred to as parties, by and to the respective council, agree to the following terms in connection with the above caption matter relating to the property located at 11594 East Washington Street, Auburn Township, Ohio. More particularly described as volume number 1889, page numbers 3479 to 3481, hereinafter the property. The property is located in an area zone B1A, Auburn Corners Retail Business District, pursuant to the Auburn Township zoning resolution duly adopted by the trustees. It is in the party's best interest to settle this action and to permit appellant is permitted to sign pursuant to paragraph 7 below to use the property for the following uses. A. Landscaping and storage facilities and those activities associated therewith for all businesses conducted by the appellant, including but not limited to the storage of landscaping materials and patio materials, including but not limited to stones, pavers, bricks, equipment, accessories, trucks, tractors, mowing equipment and attachments, landscape trailers, plants, fertilization material, not to include sweet peat or its comparable, tree service materials such as shrubs and small trees, and equipment storage of topsoil, mulch, and other products placed temporarily for use as part of the landscaping service business, or materials resulting from business activities at the property, provided that such materials should be stored in labeled storage bins behind the proposed building, properly screened and not visible from the street, as approved by the Auburn Volunteer Fire Department, shown in Exhibit A, attached here to and incorporated herein. B. No composting, no manufacturing or processing of mulch will be conducted on the property. C. Minor vehicle and light equipment repairs shall be permitted and owned and leased vehicles, provided such service shall be conducted indoors only. D. Residential usage shall be restricted to the existing residential structure in accordance with the definition of one-family dwelling as provided in the resolution, and such residential structure may be modified from time to time in accordance with the resolution as well as the state and local building codes. And E. Lot coverage as relates to buildings or proposed buildings on the property shall not exceed 30%, and lot coverage as it relates to both parking and the buildings or proposed buildings on the property shall not exceed 40%. 3. Appellant is the buyer pursuant to a purchase and sale agreement with the current title holder of the property, Audrey Stoll, which agreement and sale is subject only to the acceptance by the court of this consent judgment entry and agreement. 4. Appellant shall be permitted to conduct the above uses, provided, however, that the appellant adheres to the following conditions. A. No extraordinary noxious noise shall emanate from any enclosed buildings, including but not limited to honking, whistles, bells, public address systems, or other audible devices outside of the buildings or to be situated on the property, provided that periodic heating, ventilating, and air conditioning noises are permitted, as well as noise generated from customary service and repair of vehicles, machinery, and equipment. B, all exterior lighting on the buildings to be erected on the property pursuant to the site plan set forth on Exhibit A attached here to and incorporated herein shall be LED security lights with motion sensors and shall be full cutoff lighting. No pole lights shall be permitted. C, the existing trees in the rear of the property and on the westerly side shall remain and be maintained. Removal of any such trees except for those less than 3 inches diameter is prohibited. Dead trees may be removed at the applicant's discretion. Parties agree that the Auburn Township zoning inspector shall be permitted to access the rear of the property to inspect existing trees and to determine if additional evergreens will be required along the property to provide the additional screening for the residential district, provided that such access will be mutually convenient at the time of both parties. D, all signage shall comply with the resolution, including but not limited to obtaining zoning permit for such signage. E, applicant shall not use the property in such a way as to create off-site offensive or noxious odors as determined by the Auburn Township zoning inspector, consistent with applicable law. F, except as modified herein, applicant agrees to comply with Auburn Township's maintenance standards, which are codified in Section 302 of the resolution and other applicable provisions of the resolution. G, applicant agrees to comply with all riparian setbacks and regulations as provided in the resolution that are applicable to the property, and at all times herein, applicant agrees to comply with state, local, and federal laws and regulations. B, it is in the party's best interest to settle this matter and to permit applicant, as well as his permitted assigns, as provided in paragraph 7 below, to sell or otherwise transfer the property at any time for any reason. Provided, however, the terms and conditions of this consent entry and agreement shall not inure to the benefit of the applicant's heirs, successors, and assigns, except as provided in paragraph 7 below. 6, applicant does not hereby release and discharge the trustees of Auburn, does hereby release and discharge the trustees of Auburn Township and Auburn Township Board of Zoning Appeals, here and after collectively referred to as Auburn, from and against all claims that he now has and has had or hereafter may have. Auburn resulting from the matter involved in this action. For the purpose of the consent judgment entry and assignment agreement, the parties agree that the property may be transferred and all rights thereto assigned to one of the following: an Ohio limited liability company in which the applicant is the sole owner and exclusive member; B, Matt Whitner, and or C, Tony Monaco, hereinafter referred to collectively as the permitted assigns. 8, should the specific regulations or restrictions set forth in this consent judgment entry and agreement conflict with any other applicable regulations set forth in the resolution, the specific regulations and restrictions in this consent judgment entry and agreement shall prevail. Settle down. 9, the Auburn Township zoning inspector shall have access to any public area of the business situated on the property without prior notice during regular business hours of operation to inspect the area to ensure compliance with this consent judgment entry and agreement and all of the provisions of the resolution. The Auburn Township zoning inspector shall be permitted to request an appointment to inspect all other areas of the property to ensure compliance with the consent judgment entry and agreement and other applicable provisions of the resolution. 10, the court finds the notice of this consent judgment entry and agreement, a copy of which is attached here to Exhibit B, was properly made in accordance with RC 50507, and further finds that the terms of this consent judgment entry and agreement are fair and reasonable. 11, upon written mutual consent of the applicant and the trustees, this consent judgment entry and agreement may be modified, supplemented, or vacated. Should such consent judgment entry and agreement be vacated, the landscaping and storage uses on the property described in paragraphs 2A and 2B of this consent judgment entry and agreement shall cease. The applicant shall bear the costs of the action.
Okay, thank you. Any comments?
Any comments at all on the proposed judgment entry?
Okay, we need to make a motion here. Make a motion to settle the administrative appeal by way of the proposed consent judgment entry and agreement pursuant to Section 505.07 of the Ohio Revised Code.
Second? Yes.
DJ,
Yes.
John,
Yes. I'd also like to make a motion to authorize our counsel, Brady Matheny, to sign the consent judgment entry and agreement on the board's behalf and submit it to the court for approval.
And I'll second that.
Mike,
Yes.
DJ,
Yes.
John.
Yes. Okay. We've reached the end of a very fun journey. Yes.
Thank you. For those who don't know me, my name is Diane Jones. I've seen some of your faces before, and a few of you were at the August 15th meeting, and I'd like to hand you some paperwork so that you can follow along with me, and I will explain it. Okay, and I know you two are together. You're Mr. and Mrs. Stowe, are you not?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Thank you guys. Here, one of each of these down here. Okay, you guys are a couple. All three of you? Oh, okay.
Do you have any business with the board, Mrs. Jones?
This is relevant. Have you find out soon enough? Let's see here. Okay. At the August 15th meeting, and I recognize Joan Phillips, and I recognize Carl Schneider, and I recognize a couple of other people. The rest of you I do not, but it's okay because I haven't missed a trustee meeting. I think I've missed fewer than 5 in the last 6 years, and you have gotten this handout because at the August 15th meeting, Mr. Everly didn't make an allegation. He made a charge that I was the author of some letter addressed to the Newberry School Superintendent reportedly challenging the behavior of an employee that he claimed was Ruth Kavanaugh. And that, of course, is the wife of Trustee Kavanaugh. Subsequent to that meeting, and it seemed to do no good to explain that I didn't know a damn thing about what he was talking about. He sort of went off on a rant there. And so I requested a copy of that letter that Mr. Everly purportedly waved in front of everybody and claimed to be a letter to the Newberry School Superintendent. When I requested a copy of that letter, and everyone in public office is aware that once a document is entered into a public meeting, once it's discussed, it's part of the public record. And so it becomes subject to a public record or a public information request. When I made that request, Fiscal Officer May explained that we do not have a copy of this letter at the township, but John Everly is aware of your request. Well, this is approximately 3 weeks later, and that letter, I have heard nothing further about it, okay? And so I went ahead and I contacted the Newberry School Superintendent myself. And she responded back, that is Michelle Mrakovich, and she responded back. I'm not going to read the whole letter, but folks who have the communication can do so on their own time. Essentially, what she says is, if I understand your communication correctly, the letter was discussed by a trustee during the course of a regular meeting. I would recommend that you contact the trustees for a copy of the letter. Well, I did that, and it didn't do any good. And so the crux of this letter is that in the first paragraph, she states, in your request, you state that, quote, one of the trustees held up a sheet of paper that he alleged was a letter addressed to the superintendent of Newberry Schools. Said communication reported the trustee implicated a citizen attendee at the meeting in making a complaint about an employee who happens to be the wife of Auburn trustee Patrick J. Kavanaugh. And I was the person who was accused of doing that action in a rant that was totally unrelated, it seemed, to any business that was ongoing. And so because I couldn't get a copy of the letter, it sort of raises the question about the validity of the claim that such a letter exists. And so, Ms. Markovich claims in her following paragraph, please be advised that I have not received any such letter, nor is there one in the employee's personnel file, and thus no such record exists. Okay? And so, Mr. Everly, you, who earlier in this meeting said, why did you do that? I guess when it's all said and done, my question might be, why did you do this
I
as
have
well?
a question for you. Are you denying?
I'm not done yet.
Are you denying
done
the
yet.
Yes, you are.
authorship
No,
of
I'm
the
not.
letter?
No, all these people know
Are
that
you?
I'm
Oh, it
not
doesn't
done
matter.
yet.
We are in
yes, it
control of
does.
this meeting, Diane.
Oh, doesn't matter.
Motion to adjourn.
Folks, you have the second copy here, which attests
No.
to Mrs.
This motion is
Kavanaugh
over.
actually fraudulently trying to access my state teacher's retirement account.
We will put the letter. The letter has been on the bulletin board for the past 2 weeks.
Fine.
But we'll pass it out at the next meeting.
Oh, hey, it's
And are you denying the authorship of the letter?
Absolutely.
Well,
And
unfortunately,
she's
it has your
already-
name and your picture on it.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, yes, it does.
No way. Well, then, you better deal with your superintendent, because if there's such a thing, then it's a forgery, guys. She
It's
says...
forgery.
She says it doesn't
She was not the
exist.
superintendent at the
Unfortunately, she
time.
was.
I have
Previous-
no
previous
idea.
superintendent
I
very
have
aware
no
of it.
idea. But I think...
Admit you sent the letter.
No.
Thank you for advocating from 4 miles
No, but
away.
no,
Well,
no way.
thank you for being
No
an
way.
advocate for Newbury children. Even
no,
though you're never down here
no,
at
this has
Newbury
nothing to do
children.
with it.
I'll
You
second-
better
I'll second
take
this
care of your
motion.
wife.
I'll second.
Fraudulently-
Okay, this is about enough.
fraudulently
That's
trying to
enough.
get to my
That's
state
enough.
teacher's
That's
retirement
enough.
account.
You might want to take care of your
Yes.
psycho wife over here, Mr. Jones.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Deny the authorship. I see you.
Sorry about that. We attract 3 months of bulk.
Yeah, more nuts and bolts.
Did I hear the meeting was adjourned?
It's
We tried to.
Okay,
Yeah.
well then, we just want to ask, is there anything we have to stay inside regarding the 117 Washington Street?
No, did you have any questions about it? Okay, good.
Well, that's what we were looking at, is we just wanted to...
I trust
This is
every.